It was a quiet afternoon when I noticed a commotion at the edge of my property. Karen, as usual, had decided to escalate her harassment, but this time it involved my child. She claimed my son was disturbing the neighborhood and called 911, insisting immediate action was required. The operator, like Karen, didn't realize the full scope of the situation. I calmly approached the scene, only to see Karen gesturing wildly, her phone pressed to her ear, trying to portray herself as a heroic defender of justice. My son, completely bewildered, stood silently by my side, knowing he hadn't done anything wrong. The officers arrived, prepared to mediate what they assumed was a standard neighborhood dispute, but they were in for a surprise. Before any discussion could start, my father stepped forward. A retired SWAT commander with decades of tactical experience, he had trained in every scenario imaginable. His calm presence immediately shifted the energy. The officers instinctively deferred to him, recognizing the authority and experience he carried. Karen's confidence began to falter as she realized she was no longer the one in control. My father assessed the situation silently, eyes narrowing at Karen's theatrics. He explained in precise, measured terms that my son had committed no violations, that the property was fully ours, and that Karen's actions could be construed as harassment. The officers nodded, appreciating the clarity and authority in his voice. Karen, on the other hand, was speechless, her previous bravado evaporating. We didn't need to escalate physically. The power dynamic had already shifted. Karen tried to continue, demanding action and making threats, but every statement she made was met with calm, factual rebuttals. My father's presence alone neutralized her attempt at intimidation. Within minutes, Karen's calls to the HOA and local authorities had no effect. Her influence over the situation had been completely erased. By the end of the encounter, Karen had been forced to retreat, humiliated and frustrated. My son, safe and unharmed, returned to his activities without further interference. The officers stayed on site to ensure compliance, documenting everything meticulously. Karen's attempts at manipulation were logged for future reference, ensuring she could not repeat her harassment without facing consequences. The incident became a lesson in power and preparation. Karen had assumed she could dominate through entitlement and aggression, but she had underestimated the presence of authority, experience, and legal knowledge backing my family. My father's involvement demonstrated that intimidation only works against the unprepared and unprotected. In the days that followed, Karen's credibility in the neighborhood plummeted. Parents, neighbors, and HOA members realized she had overstepped drastically, targeting a child while ignoring property rights and common sense. My family's boundaries were reinforced, and the lesson was clear. No amount of entitlement could override authority, experience, and legal ownership. Karen had called 911 expecting compliance. Instead, she encountered preparedness and precision. The moral was unmistakable. When you threaten the innocent, underestimate experience, and ignore the law, consequences are swift, decisive, and unforgettable. My family and my SWAT dad ensured she would think twice before attempting such reckless intimidation again.